Hi everybody, it's Marieta. Thank you so much for tuning in today's video. I want to talk about the news about international students and how you guys are being impacted and what to do in situation like this, which is super unprecedented. That is that you cannot enter the United States or you cannot get your student visa if your school is going online, if your school is teaching classes online. Coming up. All right, so let's break this down. What to do? I mean, first of all, let's just talk about the new issued ban, basically, for students, non-immigrant students, and I do have a laptop here, so I'm going to be reading a few things literally so you guys understand all the details. I'm going to break down all the details for you. So basically, I'm also going to share the source, the link, so you guys can check it out yourself. So let's talk about it. Let's break it out. Student Exchange Visa Program modifies the temporary exemption for non-immigrant students taking online courses, especially during fall 2020 semester. So let's suppose you are in school, you are enrolled in school, and your school is going online. Your school is going to teach classes online due to the pandemic. And how is this impacting you? Well, these are pretty hardcore news for people who are outside of United States, because you will not be able to get your student visa issued in your passport. And if you have issued student visa in your passport, you won't be able to enter United States. These temporary exemptions for fall 2020 semester include non-immigrant F1 and M1 students attending schools operating entirely online might not take a full online course load and remain in United States. The U.S. Department of State will not issue visa for students enrolled in schools or programs that are fully online for the fall semester, nor will U.S. Customs and Border Protection permit these students to enter the United States. So this essentially means, like I said, that if you are in school that is going to teach classes online in fall semester 2020 and you are currently outside of the United States and you need to get your stamp, well, guess what? You cannot get your stamp. You will not get your visa and you will not be able to travel to United States, number one. Number two, if you are already with the valid visa in your passport, if you have issued valid visa in your passport, guess what? You won't be able to enter United States based on what I'm reading here. Number two, non-immigrant F1 students attending schools operating under normal in-person classes are bound by existing federal regulations. Eligible students might take maximum of 1 class or 3 credit hours online. Number three, non-immigrant visa students attending schools adopting a hybrid model that is a mixture of online and in-person classes will be allowed to take more than 1 class or 3 credit hours online. These schools must certify through the Form I-20, which blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to read all of that. All right, let's go here. The above exemptions do not apply to F1 students in English language training programs or M1 students pursuing vocational degrees who are not permitted to enroll in any online courses. So this is obviously impacting people who are not in ESL classes. So if you are in ESL class, you have to check with your school, because this is mainly impacting people who are enrolled in universities and colleges. Schools should update their information in their service system within 10 days of the change if they begin the fall semester with in-person classes but are later required to switch to online classes, or non-immigrant student changes their course selection as a result, ends up taking entirely online course load. Non-immigrant students within the United States are not permitted to take a full course of study through online classes. So keep that in mind. If you are in the United States, you're not permitted to take the full online course study through online classes. If students find themselves in this situation, they might leave the country or take alternative steps to maintain their non-immigrant status, such as a reduced course load or appropriate medical leave. Okay? Due to COVID-19, this temporary exemption regarding online courses for spring and summer semester. So this, okay, let's go back. Due to COVID-19, the Student and Exchange Visa Program institute temporary exemption regarding online courses for spring and semester. This policy permitted non-immigrant students to take more online courses than normally permitted by federal regulation. F1 non-immigrant students pursue academic coursework and M1 non-immigrant students pursue vocational coursework while studying in the United States. All right, guys, so this is the overview, and the conclusion of this overview is as such. If you are updated by your school about whether the entire course load is going to be online, you need to understand this rule is going to impact your life, which is pretty crazy. If you are not sure if the course load is going to be fully online, you might want to contact your school and inquire about this change and these updates. And if you already know that you are being impacted and there is no option for you, you might want to, I mean, the question is what to do in such a situation, which is super difficult. In my opinion, is pretty crazy. And I'm sorry you have to go through this. I'm really sorry, especially if you are outside of the United States and if you don't know when you're going to come back and when you will be able to enter US. This is the pressure that you are going through. I'm so sorry about that. I would definitely contact your school and rearrange the options that you might have. And I'm sure that your school will already have options in place for people who are being impacted by such a regulation. But this is what's happening. This is what it is. For those people who are impacted by immigration ban, if you are impacted by such a negative regulation, here's the deal. What I'm proposing, guys, is to consider starting your business, and this is something that I did myself. I went to school, I studied at Northwestern University in Chicago, law, and after I graduated, I started my business, I started my company because nobody would give me and sponsor me on H-1B, and I've been through all of this. I've been myself through this student visa process and time of my life, so I understand, and that's why I feel for you, and I'm sorry that you have to go through this. Now, what I want to say here is that, this is unprecedented time, and if you're watching my videos, you know that I'm constantly searching for solution, and instead of complaining, and one of the solutions that I'm proposing is actually start your own business, your startup. I do have a webinar where I'm breaking down how to, etc., what are the requirements, and how can you possibly get a visa for that. And this immigration ban is actually not impacting this E2 visa category, and so you might want to actually reinvent yourself. There are many of you super smart entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, and I was one of them. That's how I actually started my own company. And looking back, this is gonna sound crazy, and it's maybe not even relevant, and maybe some of you don't want to hear it, but some of you might actually benefit from this advice. Is that sometimes we don't necessarily need a degree. We don't necessarily need a degree to reinvent ourselves, and we don't need a degree to do what we are meant to do. And again, this is coming from a person who is highly educated with 2 masters, and I'm an attorney. But I know that based on life experience and based on experience as an entrepreneur. And so I can tell you right now that what I learned in my schools was not really contributing per se to what I started to do as an entrepreneur. And so, guys, sometimes in life things are not going well because there is something better for you waiting. And I'm not saying you should stop your studying, and I'm not saying you should, but what I'm saying, I'm just trying to give you better and different perspective here, because this is a very difficult time for many of you, and I just want to support you the best I can. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you find it useful, like it, share it with people who need this information. And if you have question, comments, you can leave them below. You can also check out the webinar, How You Start Business and what's the best alternative for entrepreneurs during these difficult times. And yeah, stay tuned for upcoming videos. Stay safe and positive. See you soon.